Breaking news now on Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Fox 61 has confirmed police are investigating an officer-involved shooting in southern Connecticut. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Bridget Bureau. This happening on the city line between New Haven and West Haven.
Yeah, here's a map of the general area where it's happening. Information is very limited at this moment, but the public information officer for New Haven Police was able to confirm the shooting along Boston Post Road, right near that dividing line between the two cities.
And we have a Fox 61 news crew heading to the scene. We'll bring you an update as soon as they get there.
All right, now to a disturbing story out of Branford. Police arresting a man and two 17-year-olds accused of violently assaulting and torturing another juvenile.
Police say this happened earlier this month. One of the suspects appeared in a New Haven courtroom this afternoon, and Fox 61's Julia Blanc is in Branford for the very latest.
Before we get to any details here, we do want to warn our viewers. They are certainly disturbing. The judge even calling this an incredibly violent and heinous act. And now we are learning more about what police say happened and who they say was involved.
That's crazy. It's really crazy.
Branford neighbors like Pamela Fontaine alarmed after hearing what police say happened in her hometown on September 1st.
I haven't heard anything like that. That really disturbs me.
Branford police arresting 3 people after they say the suspects lured a juvenile into a remote wooded area where they were held against their will for 3 hours.
During the period of captivity, the victim endured multiple forms of torture.
Police say over the course of several hours, the victim was physically and sexually assaulted, slashed, and set on fire, among other things.
These traumatic and violent actions left the victim with serious injuries.
Detectives tracking down the crime scene after receiving a video capturing some of the incident. Police arrested those 3 people, later locating the victim, who was being treated at a local hospital.
At this time, the investigation has revealed this was an isolated incident. We are grateful for those in the community that provided information and cooperation.
Police say 2 17-year-olds are facing 13 charges each, including aggravated assault, kidnapping, and risk of injury to a child. 23-year-old Avante Ryan of Hartford is facing a dozen charges, including conspiracy to commit aggravated assault, cruelty to persons, and robbery. Ryan appearing in a New Haven courtroom Thursday where, because of the sensitive nature of the case, our cameras were not allowed. In court, we learned Ryan has lived here all his life, is caring for a 6-year-old child, and is enrolled in technical school in East Windsor. Ryan's attorney says his client suffers from mental health issues and denies the allegations. Ryan also has a criminal record with several ongoing charges still being worked out in the court system, including an active arrest warrant out of North Branford, according to prosecutors. Now, Ryan's bond was set at $1 million, and he's expected back in court next month. As for the 2 17-year-olds, we're told they're also being held by police, also on $1 million bond. We are in Branford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Julia, thank you. More threats made toward Connecticut schools today. Ansonia Public Schools were closed today following a threat on social media. Police arrested a 13-year-old girl who confessed to making the post. Ansonia schools will resume tomorrow. A similar situation in Bridgeport, where police arrested a teen for threatening the schools there. Middletown and Fairfield schools also faced similar threats today. Police determined them to be not credible, but the schools had an increased police presence today.
Let's get a check on our forecast. We were expecting a little rain today, but the sun is sticking around.
Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frayne joining us now. Rachel, we got plenty of clouds. We're just not going to have much rain falling out of them.
Yeah, mostly dry weather the next couple of days. Forecast error in your favor, unless, of course, you were hoping for rain, which we really do need at this point. Temperatures won't be quite as warm over the next couple of days, though. It's going to start to feel a little bit more like it should this time of year as we get closer and closer to the arrival of fall. But look how close we have been to the rain all day today. It's been misty, drizzly, dreary in Boston, rainy for the Cape. And even though that rain is backing in off the ocean, it's hitting a brick wall with high pressure over us, kind of keeping things dry. So I still think heading through the evening tonight that this offshore storm primarily stays offshore. And as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours, it will be nearby, but will slowly shift to the south and eventually away. Look at these temperatures temperatures. We ended up climbing into the mid-80s for some in central Connecticut today. Really impressive. We're still near 80 degrees in Hartford, the New Haven area, mid-70s in Norwich. It's cooler in the eastern half of the state, and we're looking fine tonight. We'll see partly cloudy skies, overnight lows in the lower to middle 60s. And at the bus stop tomorrow, we'll see a mix of sun and clouds. Again, breezy tomorrow, winds gusting up around 20-25 miles an hour, and high temperatures in the 70s instead of today's 80s. We'll take a look at the weekend forecast and when we might actually see some rain down the line coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Police in Enfield are hot on the trail of 3 suspects wanted for an armed home invasion early this morning. Police say those suspects, who escaped, nearly ran over 2 officers as they sped off.
Fox 61's Matt Caron visited the neighborhood where it all happened, and he has the new information on the investigation.
Well, this is Asnuntuck Street in the Thompsonville section of Enfield, and this multifamily home behind me is the scene of the crime. Neighbors say this is not a great area, and they're not necessarily surprised to see violence here.
I'm just used to it. I'm pretty used to it. I'm surprised, I guess, but not really. I feel like this is not like an ideal neighborhood.
People who live in the Asnuntuck Street area of Enfield tell Fox 61 they keep to themselves.
I go to school, then I come back home, and then I don't be around these parts. That's all I know for sure.
But when police showed up just after 2 a.m. Thursday with guns drawn, they couldn't help but pay attention.
I heard a lady or a young lady talking on her porch to the police at like 3 in the morning. And I heard her talk about I guess a person who was watching her house in a white car, because she was speaking pretty loud, I'm not gonna lie.
Enfield police tell Fox 61 they got a 911 call for help from a person who lives inside the multifamily home. An investigation revealed 3 suspects broke glass on the first floor and got inside. They made their way to the 3rd floor apartment with a gun, where they confronted the 3 victims inside. When police arrived, the suspects were sitting in a white car outside. They were ordered out but sped off, nearly hitting 2 officers.
They find themselves in harm's way day in and day out, and sometimes it makes the news and sometimes it doesn't, and we understand that. But I'm very grateful, and I hope everyone is very grateful for the sacrifices and potential sacrifices these officers engage in.
The suspects got onto I-91 South, where state police briefly picked up the chase before losing the vehicle.
Scary, because obviously, we got the men in blue trying to do their work and, keep people safe.
Police are looking into whether the suspects, 3 men, knew and targeted the victims.
I'm really glad that everybody's okay, but yeah, that's honestly the only thing that's on my mind, that I'm just glad that nobody got hurt.
Enfield police reminding you, don't wait until it's too late. If you see something, say something.
If something hasn't happened yet, but they're worried that it might, if something seems unusual, suspicious, or out of the ordinary, that is also very much why we are here, and we're happy to respond to that request for assistance as well.
Enfield police say they are working to get a better description of the suspects and the vehicle as they inch closer to making arrests. Reporting in Enfield, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Matt, thank you. Talking about a different kind of invasion now. We've already seen a record number of bears getting into Connecticut homes so far this year. Deep says conflicts with bears have tripled in recent years, and bears have been spotted in all 169 Connecticut cities and towns so far in 2024. There's been 68 reported times a bear has gotten into a home. That's 1 more than the previous record set in 2022.